Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of T.N.T. Garage and Performance, and today we're doing the 200,000 mile review on the International HX 520. This is a 2024 model, and we're going to get into it because I've got over 200,000 miles on it. I've been driving it for about a year and a half, and we're going to get into the pros and cons of this truck versus everything else on the market. Plus, we're going to run through it, do a quick half service, check out everything underneath, just to see how she's holding up. So let's get to it. So I've got my truck in the shop. I'm actually going to go through it before I go grab my next load, do the half service. Now, typically our mechanics do this, but every now and then I like to crawl under my own truck, see everything that's going on, just because I'm the one that's driving it all the time. Of course, we've got our cat here helping me, but I'm going to start with all the steering components, grease my kingpins, and I'm going to move under the truck, and I'm going to bring you guys along with me to show you how this truck has fared in the last 220,000 miles. All right, let's get under this thing and see how everything looks. Of course, made sure to grease my spring pins, both front and rear, steering linkage, kingpins, everything like that. But try to give you guys the best view. I need to creep past the big old Cummins here. All right, just kind of look over everything under the truck. Don't see any big leaks. That's a hell of a place to put the grease zerk for the throwout bearing, instead of, having a longer hose on it. So you grease it easier, but there's Cheddar helping me here. But keep going, checking everything out. No leaks on the trans. Everything's looking good there. Those look like they were rubbing, but they're not. So we're good there. Looking good there. Just want to make sure there's nothing really rubbing, especially coming off my airlines here. But of course, I'll come back through here. It's kind of hard to videotape and grease everything, but so far so good. Like I said, there's really no leaks or anything on this truck, and it shouldn't be. It's only got 220,000 on it, but kind of keep creeping back here. No play in the midship, which is good. No play in the slip. Again, check all the airlines and everything. Stuff's looking pretty good. U-joint's good. Keep crawling back, have a look at the brakes. And these are the original brakes from when the truck was new, 220,000 on them. So those look pretty good. Yeah, ain't got nothing funny going on with the piggybacks, so that's good. So far, so good. Like I said, there's really no miles on this truck in the grand scheme of things. I just wanted to give you guys an overall look underneath the truck because, you know, if you're going to make an investment in a truck, you probably want to know everything about it, how it's holding up. Oh, creep in here. We'll play in the short shaft. Looks good. Chamber's good. Brakes back here. Look good. Of course, everything needs a good amount of grease. Inside of the drums look good. I'm not seeing any heat cracking, anything like that. So, needless to say, I'm not very hard on the brakes. I prefer to downshift and Jake brake to almost a complete stop. So that's just how I like to drive. So that's pretty much the underside of the truck. And I'm gonna go through, grease the underside. Got my bucket of grease with the spatula. We're gonna take care of the fifth wheel. And then, yeah, we need to take this thing to go get a bath because she's awful dirty. But that's kind of the underneath of the truck. And like I said, every now and then, I like crawling under it, having a look at it for myself. You know, just a little peace of mind while I'm going down the highway. So I will check back in with you guys once I get this finished up. Got my fifth wheel greased up. Me personally, I always just grease the back half because I don't do any of that crap where you lower the trailer down onto it. I just scoop the trailer up, and the act of that will push the grease up to the front of the saddle. Not worried about that, but everything looks pretty good, so we're gonna clean up and close her down. All right, make sure keep the grease gun clean. Nice enough for the mechanic to let me use it. I may as well try to put it back as a nice condition as it was when I started using it. So get her cleaned up. Don't need to leave everything a mess. So we'll put the grease gun back and we can close everything up. I already checked the oil, everything like that. Everything looks good. So we should be pretty much set to rock. So there we go. So, what are my thoughts on the International HX 520, 220,000 miles in, and a year and a half of driving it? Pretty good. I've been in a lot of different rigs. I've driven several B-cab Kenworths. I've been in the old 379, 389 cab Peterbilts. I've been in a couple different Macs. I've driven a Volvo once for not very long, a couple days. But by and large, this is probably one of the best quality trucks you can buy today as far as fit and finish, overall quality after this many miles, which isn't, you know, it's a drop in the bucket for the overall lifespan of one of these vehicles, but at 220, you get a feel for what it's gonna be later down the line. There's no squeaks, there's no rattles, nothing falling off of it. It's pretty dang sturdy. And I've heard some guys complain about their LTs, Lone Stars, Pro Stars, anything else that shares this next generation cab. that International came out with before they discontinued the I model cab. And I think a lot of that reason for the complaints there is that the HX is a beefier cab. That's what makes it quieter. That's what makes it much better. No squeaks or fit finish issues, because there is extra bracing and sound deadening in this cab as compared to its other on-road counterparts. This is meant to be a vocational truck. And it's kind of a heavyweight, but in reality, our Max, we have a fleet of Anthems hooked to the same trailers, are only about 700 to 800 pounds lighter than this truck, full of fuel. And I've got a herd bumper and an APU. They don't. They do have deer killers on the front, but the light guard variety. But as far as that goes, for the price point, this is better than a 589 in my opinion. I have driven the new cab Peterbilts and Kenworths. Drove a 579. They're nice, but it's no better than this truck. And when you're talking almost a $50,000 difference between this and a 589, you kind of got to give it up for International, because they took what they could out of a new truck and still made it kind of old school cool, but for today's industry. The Peterbilt it looks a little off. That the square hood just doesn't look right with the cab. I think this blends in it with this cab a lot easier. And just overall, the only thing this truck lacks is an extended hood option, whereas you can get a short hood or an extended hood 589. And other than that, you're not gaining much other than the Peterbilt name. This has the Cummins, it has an Fuller manual, it's got good rear ends, it's the same truck from here down. So you're spending 50 grand more on a name. And I believe that this truck is much more livable than any Peterbilt as far as storage goes, as far as stuff is laid out. I would definitely take and keep this truck if I were offered a new Peterbilt. I just think this is just really better quality for the money. And these trucks are getting insanely popular. Since we got these, we've got two of them in the fleet, mine and another driver's, we have seen the popularity of these explode when we're going out on the toll road all the way out to New York. And there's a ton of HXs on the road, which really means it's a great truck for a bargain of a price for what you're getting. So first thing I need to do, because I'm going to get ready to head up north, I'm loaded tomorrow morning. We got a hook to our trailer. I gotta say, I got one that's pretty nice this time, that'll look good with the truck. We gotta get this thing a bath, so we're gonna hit the Streaking Beacon, and we'll get into a little more of the pros and cons of this truck versus anything else you can buy. So I think I'm cleaned up enough. I should wash my hands again, but then we'll get hooked up to the trailer and we'll get rolling. Alright, so let's talk about why I am particularly so fond of the International HX. I've driven other hood trucks, Peterbilts, Kenworths, stuff like that. And why do I think that really right now, other than the W9, as far as the entire package of it, this truck is the truck to get. So let's talk about pros and cons of this truck versus, say, a Peterbilt. Let's start off with the obvious thing, the one everyone's thinking of, and that's resale. A Peterbilt is going to have better resale if it's a hood truck. I'm not talking about like the 579s or 567s or anything below that, but 389, 379, and the 589 are always going to have a great resale. You're going to make money on your investment with the use you get out of it. Now, with these trucks, this particular HX with this cab and sleeper arrangement came out in 2022. Before that, they were the old I model setup. So these trucks haven't been on the market long enough to really get a good read on what it is, because right now they're just kind of selling for what any other used international would sell for. Now, as these trucks get more popular, I think that's going to go up. And as far as pricing of the truck in general, getting it new, you know, if you look at anything else you can get right now that's got a square hood on it, not counting an extended hood because they don't offer one in the HX, is the W9B. You can get the 589 short hood, and you know, even if you throw the long hoods in there of those along with the W990, the International is the only other option when it comes to a square hood truck. Western Star, the closest thing you're going to get to one of them is a 49X, which is just a Cascadia. At the end of the day, with a square-ish hood on it, they kind of look like the Internationals if they got a little too close to the furnace and kind of melted a little bit. And little tiny straw-sized stacks going up the side. Not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with Western Star, but when they went away from like the 4900 series trucks, it was no longer its own deal. It's no longer Western Star. It's just a prettied up, more expensive Cascadia. So, I mean, they got rid of the air cans. They got rid of everything that made a Western Star a Western Star. So I wouldn't really count that, and you're going to pay the same price for one of them as you are for one of these. And what are you getting? You may just go get a Cascadia. Freightliner doesn't make a square hood truck anymore. The 122 SD, the Coronado, been gone. It's all gone. And, you know, the 567 is probably the closest competitor to this truck as far as bumper to back cab. You know, more closely resembles this truck, and you're still going to pay a premium for the Peterbilt. So, pro to this truck is the pricing is in between, say, like a Mack Anthem, a T660, a 579, a Volvo, a Cascadia, anything like that. It's right in between those trucks and your big hood trucks, the 589, the W900s, the W990s. It sits right in the middle, which earlier in the video I had stated that, yeah, there's a $50,000 difference, but the prices on the big hood trucks are starting to come down, you know, with all the post-COVID stuff, getting production back to where it should be. So a pro is the purchase price of the truck for what you get. The con is we don't know if the resale's going to come up as demand makes this truck more popular. So there's a pro and a con right there. Kind of washes itself out. Big pro of the HX is the livability. I've been in several different sleepers. You know, the Mack sleepers, of course, the Volvo for a couple days, been a Peterbilt sleepers, Kenworth sleepers. I started out on the road in a 38-inch coffin bunk on a Kenworth. I appreciate the kind of stuff I have now, and I gotta say, this by far is the best laid out, the most livable sleeper, and one of the better looking ones as far as overall. You don't feel like you're trapped in here. You don't have big wardrobes kind of trapping you in. And the big thing is storage. These airline style cabinets get stuff off the floor. You can separate it, you can organize it. Mine's not all that greatly organized right now because this is where I throw my stuff in when I get back into the truck, and then I kind of first night go through and get everything where it's supposed to be. But These are excellent. There's a wardrobe right here. It's a floor standing wardrobe. It's got the bar in it so you can hang stuff. I store my cases of water down here. You know, you got the fridge over here that is a huge fridge for what it is. The only one bigger on the market is the Cascadia or Western Star fridge. These are massive. It's open. You can get around in here. The fit and finish, honestly, is excellent. I don't have any rattles or squeaks in this truck that's not associated with what I've put in the truck. So like my air fryer or the microwave or the TV, yeah, they're gonna squeak and rattle going over bumps, but as far as the materials that everything's made out of, there's no issues. By far, this is better than Peterbilt, the Kenworth, all that inside. The newer Kenworths kind of neat with the flip out table and all that, but this is much better for storage and everything. And yes, you would lose quite a bit of storage if you got the upper bunk, but that's the thing when you get a double bunk truck, you're gonna lose storage. So big pro, the fit and finish of the interior, and I think it beats everything on the market when it comes to livability. The W900 Kenworths, I've said this before, beautiful inside, outdated. You can't put modern stuff in them, like a flat screen, without drilling holes to put stuff in. And I don't like putting stuff in that's invasive to the interior of the truck. Like my added lights, though, no holes drilled. I don't like making new holes on the inside of the truck. So this is already set up for modern stuff and everything you'd need. So some small cons with the truck, at least things for personal preference for me, and this might not apply to you, is the factory seats are beautiful. They work great, heated, cooled, everything like that, fully adjustable, but they're built by the same company that makes minimizer seats, and I hate minimizer seats. I am the wrong body type to be comfortable in one of them. I'm about 175 pounds. I'm 5'10", and the problem is I have a 30-inch inseam, so I'm Lieutenant Dan legs, but with knees in the middle. So minimizers sit way too high even when they're on the floor, to where it kills my hips no matter how I adjust the seat. I need to be lower. Like the old school national seats that you get in Peterbilts and Kenworths, get low enough for me to still put a little air in the seat if I want it and be comfortable in my hips. These seats might be comfortable for someone bigger than me, but our other truck in the fleet, the driver's about my size. He's had the same issues and he's got longer legs. So the cushion has gotten hard over time, the seat cushion. So I'll just tell you guys that I love the way they look. I don't want to take it out of the truck, but it gets, after 3 hours, so uncomfortable that I have to shift around. I have to stop. I have to get out and walk and stretch and all that. Whereas every other truck I've had, I've put a Legacy lowride in it, which Legacy makes the most comfortable seat, period. And having a lowride for me, I could sit low enough to where my hips don't hurt, but then I can also have air. So eventually that's going to be what's going in this truck. Other than that, anything else that I have issues with is just dumb stuff, like the jockey box doors on the outside. Why do they have to be key locked now? Just have a handle so you don't have to lock them all the time. I don't always have to get my keys out just to get in them, or have an internal latch, something like that, where you just got a cable up by the driver's seat, you pull it and pops it. So I always use my spare key for it, but I have had my keys fall out of my pocket when I went into the jockey box to get a hammer to hit my brakes because they were frozen, and I dropped my keys out of my pocket. Be nice not to have to get my keys out, you know, even with one in the ignition to get at that stuff. That's just little quirks that I don't particularly care for. Could have a better radio. This is a Navistar unit. I've tried looking it up. Like most other trucks are on like a Delphi unit or a Panasonic unit. I have no idea who makes this. It's not the best stereo as far as, you know, I've heard higher quality, better sound management, stuff like that. But it's all little stuff. This is, other than a seat, it's fairly inexpensive stuff to change. There's not a whole lot I could really complain about with this truck, and I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks. Like, what are my issues with the truck? And there isn't many at all. I mean, I would have to be in the midst of the moment of whatever just kind of irritates me to do it at that exact point for me to remember to register something about this truck I don't like. So there you go. That just tells you that, you know, even though this cab and sleeper has been around for a while, for International to step it up and go, we're going to take this truck and make it more vocational, and we're going to beef up the cab and everything, did a wonder for the overall build quality of this truck as an on-highway truck, even going through Indiana. And we've all had stuff fall off the sides of our truck and out of our cabinets when you're on I-70 coming out of Ohio and into Indiana. This truck holds up pretty well to that. I haven't had too much fly around. So I guess the best thing I could say about this truck with over 200,000 miles on the clock is it's been absolutely bulletproof. The engine, you know, this has got the Cummins in it. I have no experience with the A26s or the S13s, S12s, whatever the other new International engine is. But this is 500 Efficiency Series Cummins has been excellent. Fuel economy, I'm returning about 6.5 miles to the gallon. I run loaded 75% of the times. I'm going through the Appalachians every week, once out, once back. And this has 342 gears in it. So it's the right gear for the power. Use all of it climbing hills. It's a good package that works well. And it gets 6.5 miles to the gallon pulling liquid with a flying brick, running this speed limit or a couple mile an hour over. You can't ask for much more. So yeah, I gotta say, if you guys are looking for a great truck that you want good looks with and something that's not gonna cost you an arm and a leg to get in the first place, I'd go with the HX. That's another con I just thought of. See, it's little stuff like that. Has nothing to do with the truck. The lack of aftermarket for these. I want them to get more popular because there's like very few accessories you can get for this truck. There's almost nothing you can get for the interior. In my T800 I had with the little 38-inch coffin sleeper, I had the chrome rocker switches, the vents, you know, aftermarket steering wheel in it because I didn't have a smart wheel. Stuff like that. Visors were easier to come by for the trucks, even though this has a drop visor and it's fairly tall. I don't know why International mounted it so high. That's kind of dumb, but there's very few like aftermarket goodies you can get for this. So that's my other qualm with the truck. Not really the truck's fault, just a matter of the aftermarket and overall popularity. So, like I said, if you're looking for a truck that's not going to cost you an insane amount of money, it's going to be a great truck. Both of our trucks have been really good, other than our other driver's truck had a quirk here and there with the climate control, but mine's been trouble-free. And yeah, what's on the clock now? 231,000 miles on this truck. Issue-free, other than at 60,000, a knock sensor went out in my DPF SCR. So there you go, guys. That's pretty much what this truck has been, and I'm sure what it's going to continue to be. So if you like this video, check out the other two videos on this truck, on when we first got it and after 100,000 miles. And go ahead, you know, if you're also into hot rods, I'm sure if you're watching this, you're a trucker guy or like trucks or drive truck yourself. But if you're into hot rods, go ahead, like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below if you've had any experience with the HXs, or you're thinking about buying one and have some questions, I'll happily answer them for you. And go ahead and find me on Facebook at T.N.T. Garage and Performance, as well as on Instagram at T.N.T. Garage and Performance. So that being said, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm gonna continue to enjoy this truck. So until next time, remember, if it ain't broke, fix it till it is. We'll see you soon.